Welcome to the software journey with GKey. Power BI classes with real-time interview questions and answers. Class 31. What is the difference between SUM and SUMX DAX functions in Power BI?
In this part of training, we are going to discuss about the difference between SUM and SUMX DAX functions in Power BI. First, we will see SUM function. SUM adds up the values of a single numeric column. Coming to the syntax, SUM, table and column name. When to use SUM function? When the value you want to total is already stored in the column, when no row by row calculation is needed. That means the values we choose to store in a single column like this 1, 2, 3, 4, something like that. In these type of scenarios, we'll just go and calculate all these things. We can provide the sum. That is the meaning when the value you want to total is already stored in a column. When row by row calculations, no row by row calculations is needed. In these situations, we go for SUM function. Coming to the example, if you want to calculate the total sales, sum of sales amount. That means in sales table, we are calculating sum of sales amount. And coming to the next function, that is SUMX. It is a row by row calculation plus aggregation. SUMX function iterates a row by row over a table, performs a calculation for each row and then sums the results. For example, SUMX, it is a table and this is the expression. When to use SUMX function? That means when to use SUMX function. We need to calculate something for each row. When the value you want to sum is not a physical column, when you need dynamic calculation involving multiple columns. That means here based on a single column we have calculated, whereas coming to the SUMX, the values will be in 2 or more columns. 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, something like this. These values might be addition, subtraction, something like this. In a particular row, that is 1, 1, 2, 2. This is a row. I will show you in the next slide. We will be having some diagrams also for this. Coming to the example, if you want to calculate total sales, SUMX sales is the table, sales quantity into sales unit price. If you multiply quantity and unit price, then you will get the total sales. Here the quantity will be in one column and the unit price is in other column, and each time it iterates row by row for quantity and unit price. It will do the multiplication, aggregation, and it will provide you total sales. Here is the quantity into price is computed for each row and sum. I think you got some idea about the SUMX and SUM DAX functions. SUM based on a single column, whereas SUMX is row by row calculation. Coming to this slide, we can see somewhat more detail for SUMX. For example, total product cost, sales amount minus total product cost. If you want to have such kind of a calculation, you will go for SUMX DAX function. Here, sales amount minus total product, sales amount minus total product cost. In a row, these two columns are taken care, and finally we'll be having this thing. In such a way, it will iterate through row by row. All the rows, different columns it will iterate, and it will do some aggregation. That might be subtraction, addition, some minimum, maximum, something like that. Then calculate the expression one row at a time and stores the result in temporary memory. This is how SUMX is going to be worked out. Coming to the simple difference, as we explained before, the operation is sum a column, the column wise operation. For example, sum is going to calculate a single column, whereas SUMX is going to calculate 2 columns with some aggregation, and it iterate through all the rows. It is like sums and expression. Row iteration, there is no iteration in sum, but there is row iteration in SUMX. Use cases, column already have to be existed, need row by row calculation, that it will create another new column. Coming to the speed, sum is faster and SUMX is slightly slower. Why? Because it is row by row operation. Coming to the example, sum of sales amount. Here SUMX sales quantity into price we are calculating in new column. Easy real life example, suppose you have a table as quantity and price. Using sum of quantity into price, this is wrong. We cannot use this kind of sum function for calculating quantity into price. Then you have to use SUMX. This is a table name and sales quantity and sales price we are calculating. This is how this is the first row, this is the second row, something like that we are going to add. Now it is going to add up all the values in such a way like this. Coming to the interview one-liner, sum function adds up an existing column while SUMX iterates row by row to calculate an expression and then sums the result. I think you got some idea. Let us see these things practically in Power BI. Now I am in Power BI desktop. I am trying to create a blank report. I am trying to connect to a particular Excel sheet. Mostly for DAX functions, to have some examples, I am using this financial samples data. It is loading the data from financial samples. This is the sheet that we are trying to load here, financials. The sheet is loading. And first we'll calculate sum and then we'll calculate SUMX and we'll see the difference as well out there. This I have these two DAX functions in our document. I'll be sharing these documents in the description of the video. You can go through for your reference. For all the DAXs, I'll be putting the DAX functions, sample DAX functions that you can make use of it. Here I'm trying to create a new measure on financial sales. I'm trying to create a sales, financial sales. Total sales is sum of financial sales. Financials is the data set. On top of this data sales, on this column we are summing. Based on all the column sales column values we are summing. We are getting total sales. This type of total sales we are going to use. See, if you use the measure, the symbol will be like this. This thing we can use in cards or KPI, something like. For example, I'm using this. This is the total sales for financial samples data. This is 118.73 million total sales we are having for this financials. And coming to the next example, that is total profit. If you want to create a total profit, we have to create another measure here. See, this is the total profit DAX measure that I'm trying to create. I'm using SUMX function. Financial is the sheet that I'm using here. Here I have two columns like sales and COGS. Cost of goods sold is the COGS, means cost of goods sold. That means we are subtracting cost of goods sold from total sales. Then you'll get the total profit. We are taking this one and this is the total profit thing. Now I'm trying to evaluate this one by using a table. Here, country wise, sales, cost of goods sold and total profit. By subtracting sum of sales with the cost of goods sold, we'll be getting total profit. I think you got some idea about the sum and SUMX functions in Power BI.
Follow us on YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and press the bell icon to stay updated with our latest content. Join the GKey community and grow your IT profession with us.